And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans. How cool is that? To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member with Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And yes, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, which is currently streaming everywhere if you've missed it. And for all of you that continue to discover the show and reach out to me with such wonderful support and feedback for me. Thank you so much, and God bless you all for doing that. That means a lot to me. I'm glad it's still getting discovered and people enjoy it. Don't know if there's going to be a season 2 yet. We're keeping our fingers crossed. On that note, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. You can get the books a little less expensive at Amazon, and they're now available in an audio version, which is cool. But if you get them off the website, I autograph them, and they come enclosed in a beautiful house blessing kit to you, directly from my office to you. And another cool thing about getting them off the website is part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support stjude.org and the ASPCA. So that's a very wonderful thing too. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. That's a beautiful thing. My online course is there, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. You can enroll in the class there on the website if you're interested. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, reach out to me. Send me an email or a private message on Facebook, or, I'm not hard to reach, and we can talk about it to see if the course is right for you. And there's also a place on the website to make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues, not paranormal, but spiritual. But remember, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, brothers and sisters. Trust me, I know. But if you happen to notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Got a great guest today, and that's why, and you all already know that. That's why you tuned in. She's in the green room. I'm going to bring her out very shortly. But another cool thing about my Friday show is I have an awesome co-host. And you all know that too. I've known her forever. I love her. I respect her. She's a friend. She's also my publisher. She's the owner of Stellium Books. Please welcome to the show the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited about tonight. And it's our special Halloween show. So we have an awesome guest. And we have a Louisiana guest for our New Orleans listeners. So that's really exciting, I think.
That is going to be very, very exciting. And I'll go ahead and throw a quick shout out to Alyne. She's not going to be with us today. Only Bernadine Richardson is with us. Alyne's very sick. And you know what? I think I caught what we talked for about 5-10 minutes on the phone this morning when she was letting me know she wasn't going to be able to make it today. And I think what she had came through the phone lines again, because now I've been, ever since her and I spoke, I've been struggling keeping my voice this morning. It's just, this whole COVID and flu thing is so crazy. You look very pretty today. How are you feeling?
I am feeling pretty good. And, there's a lot of stuff going around. So a lot of people get that fall cold or flu that's so common. And I already got sick. So hopefully that's it for me. We got a lot of great people showing up in the chat room saying hello.
Very, very
hello
cool
to everybody.
Let's get things going. Let's check the prayer urn real quick here. This is from Arthur in California. Hi, Arthur.
Hi, Art.
I believe in guardian angels. I have a dear friend who does not believe in guardian angels, but could use the help of theirs now. And you pray that they get help from my guardian angel and theirs. Um, you know what? A lot of people don't know this, but you can pray for your guardian angel to go and communicate with somebody else's guardian angel and try and get the ball rolling to help this person. But that's a wonderful request, Arthur. And in fact, I'm a big believer in guardian angels, so I already know the prayer I'm going to pull out. It's one that I say every day. Actually, it's not the one I say. I got two that I say every day. This one just happens to be out. Oh, this is a great quote, too. For all of you that don't believe in guardian angels, how great the dignity of the soul that each one has from his birth. The guardian angel commissioned to guard it. St. Jerome. St. Jerome would know. But I am ready to say a nice prayer. I'm going to send this prayer out to Arthur, his guardian angel, and to his friend, guardian angel. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Guardian angel, watch over those whose names you can read in my heart. Guard over them in every chair and make their way easy and their labors fruitful. Dry their eyes if they weep, sanctify their joys, raise their courage if they weaken, restore their hope if they lose heart, their health if they be ill, truth if they err, repentance if they fail. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, a lot of people don't realize, and even many that believe in guardian angels, they need you because we have free will. They can't just jump in and help because we have the free will. So you need to ask them for help. So if you're in need of some help of that type and you think your guardian angel, it's in his or hers wheelhouse, um, ask for their help. You ready for the mailbag?
Absolutely. We got Alyne is in the chat room,
All
so
right.
she's listening, and my friend Berta is here. Hi, Berta.
This is from Vicky W. in Nebraska. Nebraska.
Hi, Vicky. Did you
I
say Vicky or Nikki?
Vicky.
Vicky. Okay.
I
Hi.
live with a friendly ghost. It's been years and no issues. Now all of a sudden this ghost seems to be angry. Suggestions? Hmm. That is a good question that I was telling Bernadine in the green room before we went live that many times we pull these questions out of the mailbag and they're perfect for my guest. That
Right.
happens to be a good one for her. But if I had any suggestions, it would be they need to move on. Their rumor has it, in my humble opinion, I agree with it. The longer these disembodied human spirits hang around, they tend to get much more sad and just not happy. And what seems to be anger isn't that. It's just a need to go where they need to belong. And so it's more frustration. And the way they lash out for attention may seem angry, but many times it's not. Then again, it may be something other. They may attract, the spirit may attract something more malevolent to come and hang out. That could be what's acting angry too. But you need to get somebody over there that can help this spirit and whatever else may be there move on because they're not of this time anymore and they need to go where they belong. What do you think?
I think that that's excellent, and I'm sure Bernadine has some great advice about it. But the times I've run across that the most is spirits not liking the homeowners or the property owners doing remodeling and changing things about the house or the property. And that seems to be another cause that gets them stirred up. They don't seem to like that at all.
Absolutely. I forgot that. That's a very good point. Well, are you ready to meet our guest?
I am.
Brothers and sisters, you all know her, you all love her. She's been around doing this thing it is we do here forever, it seems. Um, she is one of the founding members and lead investigator for the Louisiana State Paranormal Research Society. And she happens to be one of the co hosts of one of my favorite podcasts that's also been around forever, the Supernatural Substation. Please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to the one and only Bernadine Richardson. What are you
Hi,
doing?
Bernadine,
Shawn. Hi, Annette. Thank you for having me.
You
so
look
glad you're
very,
here.
yeah, you look very pretty today and you look like you're
Oh,
feeling
thank
good.
you.
I feel so bad for Alyne for not being able to be here today, but she sounded terrible. And now all of a sudden I'm starting to not sound so good. So,
I know those phone lines that's crazy, huh? How you caught it through the phone?
well, I have a confession to make. I already had
Okay.
long-term COVID cough that has been with me since the second time I had it, and I can't shake it. And every time I go see the doctor, they just go and they give me more cough medicine. So it is what it is. But I'm glad you feel good today. I'll have the two of you back probably springtime of next year, maybe sooner.
That would be
But
awesome.
happy Halloween to you. And how are you doing
Oh,
there?
thank you. I'm doing great. Doing great. I actually have a Halloween party to go to tomorrow night at a haunted location in New Iberia. It's a private residence, but we did an investigation there, so we got some pretty good evidence.
Very, very cool.
Yeah,
How
that'll
far
be
away
fun.
is that from you?
About 30 minutes. It's not too
Very, very
bad.
cool. Well, you know what? Before I let you and Annette chat a little bit, because she hasn't met you yet, she was so excited to meet you. Let's talk about um, this note that I pulled out of the mailbag from Vicky in Nebraska. I live with a friendly ghost. It has been years with no issues. Now all of a sudden, this ghost seems to be angry. Suggestions. What do you think? What's your spidey senses tell you about this situation?
Well, I think it's depending on maybe the people in the home, because sometimes people don't tell us everything. And I always tell people don't provoke, because sometimes when you're angry or if they're trying to get your attention and they do something that kind of provokes you or you feel it's in anger and you lash out at them, you don't know if that's a child spirit, and sometimes they're just bored. You have to kind of put yourself in their shoes, I would say. Like if a child would be sitting in a corner just watching everybody live their life and nobody's paying attention to the child would try to do something to get your attention, correct? Good, bad,
Absolutely.
anything, pull on your skirt, make a noise, throw something, slam a door, something to get your attention. So what I suggest is try to get the spirits to cross over. And like you were saying while I was in the green room, sometimes you have to ask your spirit guide, your guardian angels to communicate with maybe the other spirits, guardian angels or spirit guides, somebody, or ask another spirit, or pray, can an angel come and get the spirit and cross them over? Because they need
Um,
to cross over. They don't need to stay there. Their time is not like our time.
children ghosts are touchy, and I
Yeah.
say that only because some many times I'm the first to admit many times I've been fooled. What I thought was
Hmm.
what I was witnessing or experiencing turned out to be something totally different. And a lot of people think that when you see these children spirits, usually it's bad, and that's not always the case. But what you almost always have to do with these children spirits is ask for help because they are, for whatever reason, they haven't crossed over, and sometimes it's hard for you to convey that to them. So you absolutely need to call on your spirit guides and your guardian angels to to intervene because you just can't get that done. What do you think about that theory that the longer these human spirits hang around, for whatever reason, they tend to kind of become a little malevolent in their behavior.
Well, that would be more of a question for Alyne. That's a supernatural question.
Okay.
Um, but if I was a spirit, the longer I stood around here watching everybody live their life, I think I would tend to get bored. But what I advise people is you don't know what you're dealing with. You can't see it, for one. So if you go and curse at it or provoke it or try to even communicate in a bad way with bad intentions, you don't know if you're dealing with an inhuman spirit. So you kind of have to ask for help
I
so
know
things
that
don't go south.
before we went live, Annette had brought up a location, a famous location, and I'm gonna let you two chat about that because that location just happens to have two legendary children spirits haunting the
Mhm.
location. So I'll let you two chat about that.
I'm putting up a comment from Alyne on the subject matter. She said they should be encouraged to leave because their energy will attract other spirits over time.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
another
really good,
theory.
interesting take on it, too. Something that you wouldn't normally think about.
Aline, maybe you get an opportunity to add a part two to that response. Some of these spirits that are attracted to come in because they already know there's a spirit or many spirits hanging out there. Can they also attract malevolent spirits? I've found that to allegedly be the case from time to time. And what's your take on that? But I'll let the two of you chat about that famous location in Louisiana there.
Well, I was looking forward to asking her about Myrtle's plantation. I've seen a lot of stuff on TV about it, rich history, all of the activity, the hunting going on there. And then, me as being a Yankee my whole life, something about that southern moss hanging from the trees. It just looks so
That's spooky
creepy.
all in itself. Yes.
Yeah,
The moss is spooky all by itself.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so before we came on, I hurried up and asked if she'd been there, and she's investigated there
Yes, I
multiple
have a
times.
couple
So
of
I thought
times.
we would talk about myrtles for a little while.
Yeah. The Civil War actually went through there. The times that I investigated, I I captured more evidence outside than inside, but I did capture some things inside. Um, I have quite a few photos. That's back when it was the 35 millimeter camera when we
I
used to
still
use
got them.
that.
I
We
still
didn't
use
have
them.
we didn't have the cell phone thing.
Yeah.
So I don't use cell phones to try to capture images because there's too much fakery going on, you know, and you just can't see it as good as you do with a regular 35 millimeter. That's my go-to. Is that so? I have so many pictures because I've been doing this over 30 years. So I have hard copy pictures that
Wow.
I even had a ghost dog at one time, and someone stole it, and I couldn't find the copy of it because you know how you get a copy when you go to Walmart or wherever you go to get your film copied. Yeah, I had a ghost dog, and I passed around. That's letting other investigators know if you do a paranormal convention, don't pass your album around if you have only a hard copy because sometimes they get stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
It's, I'm
But
I'm
my
I'm
research
actually
is that,
glad that you brought that up because a lot of people don't do that any longer. I'm a big photo album fan, so I
uh-huh.
take, I still use those old 35 millimeter cameras, mainly because Sharon loves them. She buys them. They're those throwaway cameras you get from the drugstore, and they take 35
Yes,
millimeter film. And then when we're done and we take them back to have everything developed, we tell them we want disc and hard copies. That way I can put the disc in the computer for evidence review, but then I've got these hard copies, and even if there's no evidence in some of the pictures, some of the pictures are still awesome looking, and it's just to bring back the memory of what it was like to be at that location. And I like to put together photo albums, and a lot of people don't do that any longer. They think it's weird when you tell them you like to put photo
We're
albums, but
old
they think
school, Shawn. It's an old school thing now. Yeah, we're
it,
showing our age. But
Remember the old photo albums with the little corners you had to put and then stick it to like a scrapbook
oh yeah, that's
photo
back
book?
when I was a
Me
child.
too.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah. Well, back to the Myrtles. Yes, I did investigate there a couple of times, and they do have the story about Chloe, which some people say that never happened, and some people have photos which they can't prove it's real or fake, but they do have the story of Chloe the slave, and they have pictures of two children on the roof. So yeah, but they do have spirits there. I've just myself captured more outside the home than inside of the home. But they
And
have people that have had experiences inside the home.
would you kind of retell the story of Myrtles for people that don't know?
Well, I don't know it word for word. They had a slave named Chloe. I don't want to butcher the story because I don't know it exactly, but I know they had a slave named Chloe, and Judge Clark Woodruff, I believe, was the owner, and he was married, had the children, and I don't know if him and Chloe had a thing or whatever, but she wanted to get in good graces with him because she was caught eavesdropping on a conversation, and he had her ear cut off, was the story. So for her to get back in his good graces, she was supposedly made a cake and fed it to the kids that had oleander leaves in the, it was poisonous, but she didn't mean to kill the children, but it did. So that's as far as I know about the story.
didn't. Yeah,
So
she
they
meant to just
hung
make
her.
them
They're
really
supposed to have
sick.
hung her. Yeah,
Didn't the cake also kill the wife?
I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I know they're supposed to have hung Chloe in a tree outside. Yeah,
And you got
sad
the
story.
it's a very sad story.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a very sad story. Where is Myrtles? How far is that
It's
from
in a
where?
place. It's in a place called St. Francisville, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not far from New Orleans. Yeah,
New Orleans, what, 2 hour drive from you?
for me, it's about 3 hours.
About 3 hours, and you're in Abbeville.
I'm near
Um,
Lafayette.
Aline says none of that happened though.
She's disputing the lore of the Myrtles, but there's a lot
Yeah.
of places like that they have a
Hmm.
story, and especially like over time, it turns into, I don't know, just a creepy story that you have to be able to somehow tell the fact from the fiction and the legend and lore from
Well, with
actuality.
all the people doing the investigations there, I'm pretty sure they done called some spirits in, you know.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that place is, so historic, and so much has happened in and around that area. I'm sure it's
Hmm.
infested with spirit. It's got to be. Too many people have
Oh,
experienced too many things. Makes a great story, though. I mean, that story, the
hmm,
Myrtles, has been, yeah, that story's been told for,
they're
yeah,
pretty
as far back
popular.
as I can remember. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Is that also one of the places? This is interesting too. I love Southern paranormal stuff. The bottles hanging from the trees.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
something
I've seen
creepy
bottles
beautiful
hanging
about
from the
that,
tree.
right? Creepy and beautiful at the same time. Do you know what that
Yeah,
means when people do it?
I know they. Some people put notes in the bottle, and I don't know the story behind it. It's something about the spirit's supposed to read the note, or the only one that can read the note is the spirit. That's as much as I know about it. That happens more around the New Orleans area. Yeah, I haven't seen any down here in the swamp.
Hmm.
That would kind of concern me if I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Abbeville.
Okay.
I haven't. I remember the last time you and I spoke. I looked up Abbeville online. They had a beautiful website, and as soon as the website popped up, I was like, "Oh wow, that's like just looking at it is like felt like you were stepping back in time." It must be a
Mhm.
wonderful place to live. And I also happen to know from talking to some people and doing some research, it's also very haunted. I talk to people all the time that put their foot down and say Louisiana, especially in and around the New Orleans area, is the most haunted location in America. You'll get like people from Savannah will want to argue that, and some other places. Um,
Mhm.
Talk to us about haunted Abbeville. You got Halloween coming up. Tell us what you got planned, and then after you talk about Abbeville, talk about this cool Halloween party and the location that you got planned.
Okay. Yes, Abbeville, there's quite a few places that don't want their name put out because they feel it'll disrupt their business. So only the local people know that it's actually haunted. But we have quite a few bed and breakfasts. We have a few in Lafayette. One is called T.F.R.S. Bed and Breakfast, and that one's known and haunted. And the story on that one is a lady named Amelie. She lived in the house and she died. She fell in a well. Well, her husband had passed away. I don't remember from what, but they had lived in the house and she stayed there. And back then, they just wore black to mourn their husband. And she stayed alone for I don't know how long, but she ended up falling ill and she went to get water out of the well and fell in and she died there. So she haunts T.F.R.S. Bed and Breakfast. It's a two-story house and it's beautiful. It's a historical home downtown Lafayette. I've been there quite a few times. I actually have a photograph, a hard copy photograph of Amelie's face in a mirror in the parlor. Yeah, because I've stayed there a few times, and the owners, um, it was Miss Augie and I forgot her husband's name, Mr. Pat. They used to own it. I don't know if they still do, but they verified the photo and said that is Amelie. So I gave them a copy, and they were supposed to have put it on a wall. But yeah, they have guests from Paris, all over that come just to stay over there. But
Wow.
Abbeville, we have right near our courthouse, we have a place called, well, it's City Hall now, but it was the Audrey Hotel, way back in the 1800s. And Miss Audrey is the one that's supposed to have haunted the hotel. Well, we did an investigation a couple of times because they only use the bottom floor. I think it's 4 stories, and then they have an open top where they used to have bands and all. Well, the bottom story is where the city hall is, and they use that floor. The top floors the workers won't go on at all, and it's all cement. Stairs of cement. The elevator doesn't work. They cannot use it because they are afraid. They say they see spirits, hear spirits. We did an investigation and the spirits wouldn't communicate with us, but everybody said, well, Miss Audrey will communicate with a man. So I brought a detective with me, and he was trying to communicate with her, and she actually spoke. And we have it on EVP, and we heard it with our ears. Yeah, she spoke to him. She didn't speak to me, but she spoke to him. So, but yeah, across the street, I heard used to be the gallows where they hang people. That's where our
Oh,
courthouse is located now. But our city's pretty old. Our town, yeah. We
I
have
don't
a
know if
lot of
it's
buildings here.
I don't know if it's interesting and worth throwing in there, but I'm a Lafayette, my grandma's maiden name. And my uncle said we descended from General Lafayette. So I
Oh,
thought I'd
okay.
throw it in since we told a story that was connected to Lafayette. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's my family.
Awesome. Yeah. But
Very,
the
very
party I'm going to, yeah, we did the investigation there, and we found evidence of a girl, which that's the story that the owner, she sees a little girl and she feels a girl tugging on her dress and all. And actually got a photo of the girl in a mirror
Oh,
during the investigation. And we have EVPs from there. So they invited us to their Halloween party. They have an annual Halloween party, and you have to have an invitation to go. So she invited our team. So for all the guests that will be there, if they have questions about the paranormal or supernatural or paranormal investigating, we'll be there. We can answer their questions. It'll be
What are you
fun.
going as? What's your costume?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
This is
I
tomorrow
haven't dressed
night.
up in a while.
You,
Huh?
that's tomorrow night, right?
I know. And I haven't got my costume. Well, I have quite a few costumes because I used to dress up every time we do a convention. I would wear something we do because we normally do it around Halloween. So I'd enter contests. So I have quite a few to choose from. Yeah,
So
I'll
your
figure
team
it
is
out.
the Louisiana State Paranormal Research Society.
Yes.
I know you have a website. You know, also have a Facebook page. In your humble opinion, and there's no right or wrong answer to this. Do you guys have a case that you feel your team really made its bones on? And when you guys get together and reminisce, you always could say, "Remember that case?"
Well, yeah. It's a case that I probably would never do again because being a paranormal investigator, I've always went out trying to prove the existence of ghosts or spirits, inhuman, human, but I don't really deal with the inhuman type things. I kind of get Alyne to figure that one out, or I call somebody that has the experience in things like possession. I don't do demons and stuff. That's not what I do. I go in somebody's location, business or house, and I try to give them evidence of what they have or what they don't have. If they don't have anything, we don't get anything. Doesn't mean it's not haunted. We just didn't get anything. Spirits didn't communicate with us.
hmm.
But yeah, that's what we do. But we did a case of a guy, and I guess I don't know why I accepted the case because he did say I may be possessed, but I think I'm schizophrenic. But I don't know if I should take my medicine or not. But I don't know if I should be suicidal. So I'm feeling bad and not knowing what to do. And in my mind and my heart, I thought, well, maybe if I go and he is schizophrenic, I'll just tell him, take your meds,
Yeah.
take your meds. But this guy was getting like beat up in his own home and he lived alone. And so we went, and I told him, I'll give you a couple hours of my time, but I really don't do things like this. If something is wrong, you need to I'll try to help you get help. That's all I could do for you. So he said, okay, because he told me he'd go into church and he was Catholic. So he tried to go and make his confirmation. Well, every time he'd go, he'd see demons on the altar.
Mm.
So his doctor would give him meds, he'd take his meds. But when he tried to do his confirmation, people in his family would get harmed like that day. Every time he'd go to try to help himself, spiritual wise, things bad would happen to his friends and family. So I went to his home, and a couple of my investigators came with me, and they would not come close to him at all. They sat in the kitchen, and I sat closer to him. And I remember, and he was a nice guy, soft spoken. So I'm thinking, well, this can't be much, But I told my team, we're not setting up cameras and doing all this stuff and then have to haul butt out of here and have all this to take with us. We just coming to talk to him and take some pictures and do a little bit of EVP, and that's it. So I sat next to him, and like I was in front of him, and he talked for a little while and told me that the way this happened to him, and that's what kind of raised a flag for me at the time, because he didn't tell me this over the phone, but he said he was dating this girl, and she was into Satanism and was with a cult, and he was lonely and he didn't have any friends, so he went with her, and they did a blood sacrifice, and he was the weakest link, I'm assuming, and whatever they called in got him. So he had been dealing with this already for 15 years. So now he was about 30 years old, and he was wanting to commit suicide. And I tried to explain to him, well, if you are possessed, that's what they want, And I knew from having experience and, research, don't address a demon, like don't talk to it, So I talked to him as him, and that's what I would do. So he sat down and he crossed his arms like that, and then he just laid back, and I'm like, oh crap. He laid back, and then his whole facial features changed, and I've never seen that in my life ever. So I'm like, what did I get myself into? But I wasn't afraid, but he started talking, and he would say, he paused for a second because it was like he was listening to something, but I had an EVP recorder next to his head. So he would listen to something, then he'd say, the demon says, and he'd tell me what it said. So I actually got it on EVP, the demon telling him what to say and him repeating it to me.
Wow.
So when I did, finally, we left, I told him, okay, well, we got enough, because I wasn't going to go too far with it, So when I finally got up the nerve to listen to the EVP, I did hear what it was saying. And when I heard the voice, I'm like, holy crap. I put my rosary on, I called Alyne. Oh my gosh. I never let her listen to it. She didn't want to listen to it. But the voice of the entity sounded just like the recordings of the voice on The Exorcist Part 1. That voice. That's why it scared me so much, So anyway, I had talked to a guy that's a mutual friend of Alyne and I, and told him what was going on, because I didn't know what to do at this point. I didn't want to tell the guy, yes, you do have a demon, and then him go and commit suicide, and that'd be on me, for the rest of my life. I didn't want to say, oh, you're schizophrenic, and then he's, doped up full of pills and still possessed. So I didn't know what to do. I reached out to Jesse Duplantis and everybody I could to help me with this, and I couldn't get any help at the time. So the guy that I'm talking about, Alyne and I's friend, he does astral projection. So he, as a favor, he says he went through my link to the guy, and he had told me he's seen the thing next to him. And when the thing seen the guy that I'm talking about, the man that was helping me, he said, he's mine. Well, I never told him why I was so upset about him trying to help me with this. In my dream, so-called dream, I guess it's a dream, the thing took my spirit body and had me up against the wall of my bedroom looking down at my body. And he told me he's mine. I never told the guy that. So that thing told me and him the same thing. So I had to just let it go. I had to just let it go. I couldn't help the guy. I couldn't find anybody to help me. And the only priest around here that would help at the time, because this is many years ago, was an elderly priest that wanted me to bring the guy to him. And this is like an hour away from where the guy lived, and the guy only had a bicycle. I said, I'm not putting him in my car. No,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah,
man, that's so you're not really at this point in time, we're not really sure how this gentleman is doing.
no, no, because I went back to check on him after that, and he wouldn't talk to me.
Well, do me a
No, he
favor.
would.
After the show, send me a private message and give me his name, and I'll at least light a candle for him and say a prayer for him.
Well, that would be awesome.
Do you still do mortician work?
I sure do.
Perfect storm there. You got to tell us
Yeah.
about that. I mean, you know what? That is such a it's a wonderful occupation, career, skill set. You've got to be a very gifted person in so many different ways to do that kind of work. I always, when I think of morticians, I think of like, I mean, even the grave diggers or the groundskeepers at cemeteries and the morticians, and I think of that famous Greek character that carries all the souls across the river Styx, the ferryman. That's a very, to the dead, that is a very wonderful, wonderful um, thing to have done for them, which is one of
Mhm.
the last things done whether before they're buried or cremated. Tell us about that occupation and maybe some of the wonderful or perhaps not so wonderful things that have happened to you while doing that type of work.
Well, I'm not a mortician. I'm a cosmetologist for the dead, which is called decerology. Decerologist. I do hair, makeup, and nails on the deceased. I try to make them look their best before their service. And it's normally done on women because men don't really have that much to get done. And how I started doing this is I going to funerals when I was in my, I guess, 20s, 30s. I seen that a lot of people would do makeup on their own loved ones instead of letting the morticians or funeral people do it for them. And they didn't understand that if you put foundation, the makeup you use in life when you're alive, you have heat on your body. We have heat. So the heat helps everything blend. Well, when you die, you don't have the heat. You're cold. You're like a block of ice. So that can't blend and it looks like dirty. It looks muddy. It can't blend. There's no heat. So they use special cosmetics to blend. They know what they're doing. So um, I took on this role, and people call me to do this because I didn't. I to me, that's your last day that people are going to see you, and I
Yeah.
want them to look good. I mean, I did for my mother. I did for my ex-husband's family. I did, my family, my grandmother, everybody I know. I get called out of town a lot for friends, family members. So yeah, that's why I do it.
I'm thinking of you telling me that story reminds me of a movie I saw not too long ago. Oh, it's been a few years now called Postmortem, and it actually is a Hungarian film. There's subtitles. A lot of people won't watch a movie with subtitles, but this is a very well done movie, and it takes place right after World War I in Hungary. And back then, these guys would travel around to all the villages in different towns doing your kind of work, mortician kind of work, and most importantly, they would do post-mortem photography. And
Oh yeah.
this particular story is loosely based on something that really happened where he was in a village and things went terribly wrong. And there's a lot of, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, but very
Mhm.
well done movie about that occupation. But I can only imagine how many spirits that you really put a smile on their face before they crossed over, seeing the work you
Mhm.
did. So God bless you for that. Not everybody can do that kind of work.
Do you
No.
ever get any activity around that?
Sometimes I feel the spirit there. I do. When I feel a spirit, it's normally like if they're standing on my left side or right side, I feel like coldness, chills all up that side of my body. They're standing behind me, I feel it like behind, like the hair standing up behind my head. So I always know where the spirit's standing because I can feel it.
Do you
Yes.
feel like there's a lot of hauntings associated with funeral homes? And I know that that sounds like, of course, there is, but for someone that actually frequents, do you think that there is?
Well, my cousin is actually a spirit medium. He's a psychic medium. And I've heard this from quite a few mediums. They say that a spirit stays with their body for at least 3 days so they can go to their funeral and see their loved ones, but that they stand at the foot of the casket. And I've witnessed myself at some funerals. You know, the light they have behind the casket, they have these electrical lights like
Yeah.
lanterns, but they're electrical, and they just have like one light on each side, the head and the foot. Well, normally the one at the foot is blinking or flickering, or every now and then you'll see it flicker. So yes, I believe that.
There's like three funeral homes that I know of that they turned into other kinds of businesses. And
Oh.
after that, people are kind of, as time goes on, you'd have to be um, old enough to remember that it was a funeral home. One was offices, one got turned into a bank, and one got turned into a restaurant. And as far as I know, there is some activity associated with that, but I kind of felt like a funeral home shouldn't be turned into something else, or maybe that's just being
Well, they
super.
have wake houses. Back in the 1800s, I guess they had wake houses before funeral homes came. They put the dead up in a specific room in a home.
Mhm.
They didn't cremate them back then. They put them on ice, put the casket on ice, and it was wood. And they tried to preserve the body as much as they could before they buried it. Well, at the
Mhm.
wake houses, people would go and pay their respects, and they still have those kind of houses today. Well, in this town, they have a few. My cousin lived in one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he had activity in there.
Mhm.
I bet. Well,
Hmm.
you two are talking about these funeral homes. Um, I can't help but think of that one movie, The Haunting in Connecticut,
Yes.
which was a true story. And
Hmm.
they didn't know. Well, she knew. The wife knew, but she didn't let the family know till after the fact. It would be, you'd have to really do you'd have to check yourself and really decide on if this was something that you were really okay with if you knew ahead of time. I got called, actually, recently, I got called to a funeral home. I didn't go in the home. I didn't have to. The guy wanted his hearse, and it wasn't, I call him a hearse. I think it was a
Hmm.
Cadillac. But the car that they used to transport the caskets to the funeral home or to the cemetery and back, he said was haunted or there was activity in the car. He wanted the car
Oh.
blessed and cleansed and a little minor exorcism on the car, which I thought was interesting. So, uh, yeah, I think I would probably. Well, it depends on how beautiful the home was and what type of buy I got on it. If I knew it was a funeral home, if I would purchase it and move in, that would be I don't know if I would go that far. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
For me, it's a hard no. No, no, and never. I wouldn't even live across the street from a cemetery because I've had experiences, and I think that I don't want to say I'm sensitive or something, but I think that the other side knows that I'm likely to be able to see them. So that would be no, and
Yeah, okay.
no, and for sure no.
What do you think, Bernadine?
Oh, it would be a hard yes.
Really?
Really?
Hmm.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. I'm not, I live in a house that has spirits. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you
Yes.
this. In the few minutes I have left before I got to kick you out of here, tell everybody what they need to know about your team, um, how they can look at your team and check into you guys, and tell everybody about the Supernatural Substation. Wonderful. You guys have been, you and Aline have been doing that show as far back as I can remember. I've been on it. I had a couple of times probably. Had a great time. It's a wonderful show. Tell everybody how they can watch the show, when they can watch the show, and where they can go and research, look at your team.
Well, my team is Louisiana State Paranormal Research Society. We don't have a website up right now, but we do have a Facebook page. So you can go on there. You can Google my name, Bernadine Richardson, and my team page will pop up there. You could Google my name, and all kinds of shows and things will pop up. And our team doing documentaries. You can find us on Facebook Messenger if you need help. You know, you can reach us there. And the Supernatural Substation, Alyne Pustanio is the host. I'm the co-host. So we do that show every Friday night. We have a new show. So if you Google her name, my name, YouTube, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. And she's also an author. She writes about the supernatural, so you can look her up also. And
Very,
UPRN and SoundCloud is our old shows. She's messaging me in the comments.
very.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have you guys back because there's a lot of questions I had for her too, and
yeah,
that both of you together. I wanted to put both of your feet to the fire on some topics, but I'll save that for next time. I'll wait till she's feeling better. I'll throw some dates
yes.
at you and probably have you guys back. Um, Probably no later than spring of next year. But are you looking forward to Halloween? Is Halloween a big deal for you? A lot of people, it's not so much of a big deal.
It is. We normally do a lot of investigations and all, and lectures and things, but since COVID, it's kind of slowed down a lot. So yeah, this party is a big deal.
I
So
was
we
going
haven't
to
done
ask
anything in a
really,
while.
I was just trying to squeak in and ask really quickly about City Cemetery number one in New Orleans, if you've been there, and all of the Marie Laveau lore and all of that. Have you been there?
Well, Aline would know more of those things because she's from New Orleans. I've been to the
Yeah.
cemeteries, but I'm not sure where Marie Laveau is. I've seen
Yeah, when I
her tomb, but I don't remember what cemetery she's in.
Yeah, when I get you
Yeah.
guys back, I want to ask her about. I know this is an old subject, but I remember how hammered New Orleans got after Katrina, and like you had over
Oh yeah.
1,300 deaths just in that city, and you had all
Yes.
of the coffins from all the funeral cemeteries floating around the city, and afterwards, terrible, terrible, and the place is already haunted off the charts, but terrible,
Yeah.
terrible paranormal activity off the charts everywhere in that
It
city
got
after
worse.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah. She
listen,
said
have a
St. Louis
wonderful.
number one.
St.
It's where
Louis.
Marie Laveau is, St. Louis #1.
Well, Alyne, we'll see you next time. Bernadine, have a wonderful, wonderful remainder to your Friday
Thank
evening.
you for having me.
You'll be
Nice to
back.
meet you, Annette.
So nice meeting you, and I'm really glad Alyne was able to participate through the messages, and it was a very, very cool show.
Thank you so
Happy
much.
Halloween, Bernadine.
Same to you guys.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bernadine Richardson. Yeah, she's very cool. What a job making up the dead, huh?
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for people that take care of and respect,
Yeah,
the
I do
deceased. And
too. Big time.
it's so important that that's done and done well. And I think it takes special people to do that. I really do,
Oh yeah.
you know, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to her about Stingy Jack or any of the other things. We'll have them back. Next week's guest, Friday, November 1st, we are scheduled to have, he's a friend of yours, Pastor Jeff Leeper is scheduled to be here next Friday. So that's going to be a good show. You guys will get a chance to talk. He's got a new book out, correct?
Yes.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Are you going to have a happy Halloween?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we're way out in the country, so we don't get kids coming around or nothing, but we put up decorations and, I like the really, really old movies. I enjoy that.
I got a ton of ghosts, a ton of jokes sent to me this week. You ready for this week's joke?
Sure.
What kind of cheese isn't yours?
Um,
Nacho cheese. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend.
have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
All
Thanks
right.
for listening.
Good night, Annette. Annette Munich, Stellium Books. My friend, my that's important that she's just a good friend. I love her. She's so cool and couldn't do without her. Let me take this opportunity to thank United Public Radio Network, UPRN FM 107.7 FM, New Orleans, for picking up my show. And we're also live streamed everywhere podcasts live, so we're not hard to find. And thank you to Michelle DeRoche for making that happen. She's very cool, and I consider her a friend too. She made this whole thing happen. And most importantly, thank you to each and every one of you that tune into the show, because I don't have a show without you guys. And I mean that. So God bless each and every one for you. Don't go anywhere, because coming up next is Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. That's a great show. And sponsors. If you want to be a sponsor on the show and have your brand given a shout out live on air, reach out to uprntalkradio.com. Tell them you want to be a sponsor on the Revs show, and we'll make that happen. Brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace. Happy Halloween.